When you travel, how do you refuel? What's your plan for refueling? I want you to think about that. I have a few that I'm going to list, but there may be some that I miss. So if you don't hear if you hear yours called and go, yeah, that's me, then raise your hand because I'm curious. But if you don't, then we can fill in the gaps here of, no, I'm this kind of traveler. So first we have the speed racer. When you go and travel and you are set on, I'm going to get to my destination as fast as I possibly can. This was me coming back from school in Colorado to Oklahoma. I wanted to get home as fast as possible. It was a 10-hour trip. 12 of those hours were through Kansas. Do we have are there any Kansas fans in here? Okay, good. Okay, good. I don't have to respond to my own invitation later. It's wonderful. Drive through Kansas, and I was determined to make that as quick as possible. I did make it very fast once, like 8 hours, 45 minutes. This is public repentance of that, not obeying the speed limits there. I did get in trouble on the way back, so it all worked out of keeping me honest. But I stopped once. I had all of my water and my snacks in the passenger seat when I took off. I stopped to fuel up, go to the bathroom once, and then got myself home very quickly. Was proud of that. Maybe this is you. Do we have any speed racers when you go travel? Okay, a few. Number two, you have, I called it the time traveler. You can see the picture of Buc-ee's. That's the Buc-ee's in Terrell, Texas, one that I have driven by a few times. It's we're going to make a stop, but hey, maybe it's, hey, we need to be quick about this because I'm a speed racer. We need to get to our destination. And then you come out and you go, that was 40 minutes. They have a lot of stuff for sale in there. You get kind of stuck in this time warp of a place. And by the time you come out, you go, man, we're making really poor time. Is this anybody here gets stuck in a spot for a little while and all that? Okay, just a few. Number three, the sightseer. We've got to stop at this scenic overlook, or the map says that this place has a two-headed goat at this petting zoo, and we should go to that town and see this thing. There's weird stuff that exists along the road as you go along. World's largest soda cans, and it's just metal. It's just grain silos painted. Those exist. Those are real within the world. And people will stop at these things, or just look if you're in gorgeous country somewhere and you pull over and let's just enjoy this, stretch break, kind of take it all in as we drive here. Anybody the sightseer when you go? Okay, some of you have raised your hands twice now. with this one and this one, I'm never traveling with you. Just so in case you were wanting to know. Then I have this fourth one, just has kids. This is, I don't care what your plans are. You're just kind of hoping that it works out. You're going to have too many bathroom breaks more than likely. You kind of hope they fall asleep at some point, and just you're praying that it lasts a while. And you'll get to your destination. Whenever you get there to your destination, anybody understand? At least you remember what this was. This was like, okay. Did I miss any like really prominent ones? Driving on fumes and won't stop. You have to stop eventually. You have no choice. It'll get you. Okay, there's that. Yeah, just pushing it to the limit as far as your gas intake goes. One that I remembered on the way over here, and I don't know what I would have called it, so it's probably better that I didn't remember it. A few buddies of mine that are here now and went to school with me and all this stuff, they talked about, they knew which bathrooms were good and not good all along the route from Colorado to Oklahoma along the drive. So they'd say, hey, stop here. Don't stop there. Make sure you go to this place. Never thought about that on my own when traveling, but maybe you prepare in that kind of way too. However you prepare, we all acknowledge that there is importance in refueling. Even if it's just well, you have to at some point, or the car is not going to go anymore, and then we can't reach our destination. So at some level, we all understand with a road trip, you have to refuel. You have to stop, or you're never going to reach your destination. We get that from a road trip standpoint, but we don't always apply that same logic and understanding to the way our spiritual lives work. Sometimes we'll just go and go and go, and from one ministry to the next thing, or one work to the next, this service to that service to this service over here, and find ourselves exhausted, disconnected maybe from each other, from our God, and wondering where we're at, why we're doing some of these things, and when this stuff will stop. Tonight I've been asked to speak about gas stations and pit stops on our road trip through life here. I like the theming of all of this. I don't know if it was you or John or both of you, but it was good theming as far as thinking about how we live and interact. And my job tonight is for us to think about how do we stop? And not just stop, but how do we get the most out of our breaks? And why do we need to take those breaks? What's the purpose of them? That's what I want to do tonight. Specifically, I want to look at Jesus and how he refueled throughout his ministry and what he was doing. We'll be in the book of Matthew. Most of the verses will be on the screen. At some point, I have a larger section that we'll just read together from our Bibles. But if you want to turn over to Matthew 4, we'll be there in just a moment. But when I was thinking through this, the thought that came to mind is who am I going to deal with as far as lots of travels? And Paul comes to mind. He had a lot of traveling, and he might have been a good person to look at. But there's something to be said for looking at Jesus and how he did things. Paul ultimately, if we looked at him and his travels, he's just going to mimic the same behavior of Jesus, go throughout and do his missionary journeys. And stop and take these same kind of pit stops as Jesus does. So I wanted to go right to that particular source, and Matthew serves as a good place for it. I was interested, I wanted to look this up. How many miles do we think Jesus traveled throughout his time of ministry? The conservative estimate, so it might be more than this, it's probably not less than this. And bear in mind with this number as well, we might look at this and go, I drive that much, in a few months, depending, or certainly within a year, or whatever it may be. But he's almost certainly walking everywhere. He's probably, in fact, a lot of the time, depending on where he's at, getting stopped a lot on these travels. His recovery is not nice hotels or popping in back home. He's homeless with his disciples here, just relying on the hospitality of others. And so all of that feeds into all of this traveling that he would have done. But here's the conservative estimate. 3,125 miles walked during this time of ministry. Again, probably more, certainly not any less than this number here. And this is somebody taking all of these factors of went to Jerusalem, went to Samaria, went over to this place. 3,125 miles traveled throughout Jesus' ministry. And the whole time he is walking and traveling these places, it's people stopping to, we want to hear what it is you are teaching. We have somebody who is sick or somebodies who are sick, and we've heard that you can heal these individuals. We are hungry and we need to be taken care of. We've stayed out here so long because of your teaching and your healing that now we need something to eat because it's too late for us to head back home. A combination of all of those pieces. That's what he's doing the whole time. How do you refuel when that kind of stuff is going on? There are 5 things that Jesus did, at least through Matthew, maybe more that we could mention. We certainly won't hit every occurrence of these things, but we'll look at all of them just a little bit. Number 1, which would not be one of my answers for, well, this is how you refuel, you spend time abstaining from food. You spend time practicing self-control and discipline in that sort of way, but this is what Jesus does. Almost as soon as we are introduced to it, this is the first thing he does within his ministry. It's after the wilderness temptations in Matthew 4 that you have the proclamation of Jesus' ministry, right into the Sermon on the Mount in 5 through 7, right into the miracle sections of 8 and 9 that are just 2 chapters full of healing people of different ailments all over the place. This is what happens right before, and Jesus is fueling up for the road ahead by taking time to fast. This is how he chooses to refuel. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil, and after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. There's a lot of significance going on here with all of this. There's only 3 people in the Bible we read about who fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Moses, Elijah, and then Jesus is number 3. And he is, the text says, going into the wilderness to be tempted. And so his decision is, well, I'm going to fast for 40 days and 40 nights to be prepared for this challenge. And it's important that when we talk about this particular section, it's called the temptations of Jesus because they are temptations for Jesus. These things are tempting concerning Jesus' mission. The first one we get, stones to bread, sure. He hasn't eaten for 40 days and 40 nights. That'd be tempting for all of us. If that was something that we could do, we might do that. But then the others we may not register as well. The throwing oneself down from the temple and the angels would stop him and all of this. But that would give a pretty definitive answer to all the people that he's going to go out and reach. Again, the public starting of the ministry happens right after this. That would give a pretty definitive answer to those people. Yeah, this is the Son of God. Because they know what the text says. Satan is quoting the Bible here in this whole situation in chapter 4. And that would show these people, well, that must be the Son of God. We know our Bible. That's tempting. And then number 3, top of the mountain, all the kingdoms of the world. If you just bow down to me, Satan says to him, which he refuses to do. And Satan leaves until an opportune time. But that is tempting because that's what Jesus is here to do. Is to bring all of God's creation back to him, to provide the way back. And here it's being offered, whether possible or not, or all those things, not really the point. It would be tempting from the standpoint of, that's what I'm here to do, and I could do it right now. And he chooses not to. But he preps for those temptations by taking time to fast and abstain from food. Interesting choice, but Jesus knows something that we don't. He's very aware of what fasting does. If we were to engage in fasting, and we'll have more application at the very end, but when you engage in fasting, what you're doing is engaging in self-discipline, self-control. That's the thing that the body needs. And when you actively deny that and fight through it and say, I'm going to deny this even though my body needs it, and I'm instead going to commune with God more, we are actively shaping ourselves to be more disciplined. Well, what better choice could you make than to do this very disciplined, honing practice right before you're about to face these temptations? Jesus refuels and prepares for the trip ahead by taking this time to fast. Number 2, he takes time to rest. A lot of you are probably familiar with this. Jesus sleeps here in chapter 8, verse 24. Behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that boat was being swamped by the waves, but he was asleep. Okay, how does the rest of this go? All of the disciples are panicking because they're afraid about what's going to happen to the boat. The storm is really that bad, and they're concerned about how all this is going to play out. Meanwhile, their master is just asleep while all these things are taking place. Jesus knows they're fine. They don't know that they're fine until Jesus gets up and calms the waves here. And then Matthew hits us as the reader with the question, who is this that even the wind and sea obey his command? The answer is the Son of God. And there's a lot of those questions throughout Matthew. Something that eventually those disciples will get, but they didn't get it here. But Jesus knew who he was. Jesus knew what he was doing. And Jesus knew, if you look at chapter 8 and verse 24, and I'm not actually open there, I want to mention the specifics. If you look at Matthew chapter 8, what you have right before, I mentioned this just a moment ago, that chapters 8 and 9 are these miracle chapters. It's healing in all these sections. I believe there are 10 as you go throughout these two chapters. What you have right before all of this, calming the storm, you have these cleansing of a leper, you have a cleansing of, or you have this faith of the centurion here, you have a passage that just Jesus healed a lot of people, and there are a few of those, we'll talk about those later. Conversation and teaching with a scribe here, what does it take to follow Jesus? So he's having all of these miracles that he's doing, he has all of this teaching that he is doing. When we get after the storm here, it's healing some people with demons, healing a paralytic. Jesus is taking the only opportunity he's got to sleep. This is what this is. This is it. There are better environments to take a nap in. Sometimes you just have to take what you get. I didn't understand how my dad could sleep through me and my brother and sister growing up. Now I do. Because there are better ways to sleep, but somehow I find a way, at least a few times a week, just on my couch while my kids are being loud and they're having fun and playing around. I'm out for like 20 minutes. You got a thought about that?
I'd just like to talk to you for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So this makes me think about how we gotta try our best to be as at peace in our faith as he was. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got a war around him, and he's sound asleep. Like I would love to be that peaceful in my mind and in my body.
Yes, and I hope we all do. And I'll say this right here: that comes with practice. It's going to come with practicing all of these pieces here of taking the time to do each of these kinds of things. But yeah, he knows what he's done, what he's going to do. This is the one opportunity, and it's just a storm. I know I'm saying that. I was watching the radar. It was last night we were looking at the radar and going, am I going to sleep good tonight? Am I not? I get it. We watch the radar, see what's happening. For Jesus, it's just a storm. Jesus might have gone and watched the tornado as it came in. I don't know. He might have been that kind of Oklahoman, if I had to guess. Just watch it as it came in. This is the one opportunity he had for rest, and he took it. We'll move a little bit quicker here. Number 3, Matthew chapter 9. Jesus is going to take the opportunity to have fellowship whenever he could get it. 9 verse 10 says, and as Jesus reclined at table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. There are other texts we could go to, particularly if you go to Luke's gospel, you're just going to have Jesus eating or talking about eating in parables and things all the time. Somebody has said before that the gospel of Luke is Jesus going to, sitting at, or leaving a meal. And that's basically the Gospel of Luke. He's constantly eating. There's constantly this time spent with, again, as somebody who has no home, it's with the disciples in their home with other people as they open things up, and they really open it up because it's tax collectors and sinners that come in. I know what the next verse says. This man eats with tax collectors and sinners. Okay, so it's going to cause some more work for him. But Jesus took a lot of time with just his disciples, where he would just be with them for a little bit of time and discussing with them and being with them. He was close to those particular individuals. And there are a lot of times in the text where Jesus is just enjoying fellowship with his people, with his followers. Because he knows that that is a very good way to refuel, is to spend time with one another. Number 4. I need to read this. I forgot I had this up here. The book Gospel Comes with a House Key. The author went from lesbian atheist to now a Christian speaker all over the place and a big advocate for hospitality. That's what this particular book is all about. Said this: radically ordinary hospitality is this: using your Christian home in a daily way that seeks to make strangers, neighbors, and neighbors family of God. And when you go look and read all of the times that Jesus is sitting down with people, what is he doing? He's spending time with them. If it's his disciples, there might be some further training going on. If it's tax collectors and sinners, he'll talk with them and say, look, this part of your lifestyle, there needs to be a change here. This is not what God has created you for. This is not how he's created you to live. There's conversation about these things, moving people to become more into or more like what the family of God should be. And I wanted to highlight this particular quote and this particular refueling because, and she'll point this out in her book, as so many others have, having people in our homes is a major deal because it's just not happening. In the same way that there is an appreciation for a physical card that somebody has written for you, when they take the time to actually write the message out and deliver those things to you, because we really don't do those things anymore. Used to happen all the time, a little more commonplace, now not so much. The same thing is true with people entering into our homes. There's even been studies on why we build homes the way that we do. We don't really have the giant front porch with the chairs sitting out there because we don't expect our neighbor to walk on by and then strike up a conversation. It's not how we live anymore. It's, I got to go inside quick. If somebody knocks on this door, I've got to turn these lights off and pretend that nobody's here. Who's coming to my house? It's this is where we stay alone. And so to do the opposite, Jesus was heavily involved in those things. Go ahead.
It actually still happens to this day, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like my church, bro. Like I live with my church. You know what I'm saying? These people I'm sitting next to, I live with them, bro.
Yeah.
So it still happens.
Yeah, it's not that it's non-existent, but it is far less common than it was. And so the practicing of it, and you raising your hand and bringing it up tells me exactly what I'm thinking there. It's had a big impact on you. And that's what we're talking about. This thing has a big impact, not just on the people who are invited in, but also on Jesus. That's why he spends this time in fellowship and hospitality with others. Next here, solitude. This is an interesting one. Chapter 14 and verse 13, there's actually a couple sections here. When Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself. When the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the towns. Just kind of, he's trying to get away. Wants to be alone just for a little bit. At this point in the book, ministry is moving very fast, very often. Lots of people, lots of crowds, dealing with all kinds of things, and he just wants to get away for a little bit. And this word, desolate place, has to do with solitude. It is not as bad as it sounds. It's a place where nobody else is the idea. A place where it's uninhabited, the wilderness, just somewhere that Jesus can go off, be on his own, and spend this time. The crowds follow him anyway, so that gets interrupted here pretty quick. But just a little bit down the chapter here in verse 23, after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. Jesus does this a lot. Mark will have this in his gospel several more times, where Jesus will just take off and go be alone for a little while. And you think about why he would do that. You've got crowds. You have people pulling on you all the time, asking you all these questions, sometimes arguing with you and challenging you about different things. Jesus wants to get away from that noise. Okay, now I want you to think about like every movie in the 80s and 90s where you have the really anxious character, and they depict that anxiousness by they never get off work. Look, they have one of these newfangled cell phone things, and that goes around with them. That's the anxious person in those movies, living the life that you and I live every day. We got to get away. Solitude. You have to disconnect sometimes. You have to. If you want to refuel, you're going to have to take some time to find a way to go, all right, I've got to get out of here for a little bit. And I need to go for a drive and just turn everything off. No music, just sit there and drive somewhere, no noise. Or I need to put the cell phone away for a few hours. And the computer stays put away, and it's just either me with family, me with real people, or just me alone for a little, away from the noise, away from the busyness. Jesus understood. I got to get away from the crowds. Okay, the first time he does it in the chapter, they follow him anyway, and this time it's, okay, you guys can go now. I need to go do something. I need to be alone for a little bit, or I'm going to be of no use to you. We have to take time to get away, to be alone, to practice solitude. Number 5 here, Jesus refueled in this way with prayer. This one's not on the screen. We'll read it together. And I want this whole section on here because Jesus is going to pray a lot in verses 36 through 44. Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane. He said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." And taking with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me." And going a little farther, so again, he gets away from the bigger group, brings a few with him, then gets away a little further from them, just taking this time in solitude again. Going a little farther, he fell on his face and prayed, saying, "My Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." And he came to his disciples and found them sleeping. Rest is good in this case, not the best choice. And he said to Peter, "So could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Again, for the second time, he went away and prayed, "My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done." And again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes went away, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away, prayed for the third time, saying the same words again. 5 different times prayer is going to be mentioned here. Jesus is going to get away to pray 3 different times. He's also going to say to Peter here in this text, you need to do this too. You need to be praying. You may not fully understand what's about to happen. Jesus does. He's told them, they just don't quite grasp it yet. But he's telling them, look, you need to pray because of what's about to happen. You need to be ready for the road ahead. And Jesus, as he's preparing to go to the cross, his plan is, I'm going to spend time in a lot of prayer, a lot of solitude, just me with the Father. That's how Jesus refueled. Lots of different practices, all kinds of different things, from I'm not going to eat but commune with the Father more. I'm going to take time to sleep here. I'm going to take time to be with a group of people in fellowship. I'm going to take time to be alone. And through it all, and we could find this throughout the Gospel of Matthew, I'm going to take time to talk to God specifically about things that are going on, about what's happening. I want to spend just the last bit of time that I have for class here, why he would do this. We've already said this a little bit, but I really want to make sure we understand what's happening here. First, the way Matthew's Gospel is laid out, there are several cycles of things throughout the book. If you were to look at these verses, and if I move through these too quick and you want to write them down, I'll send you the slides and all of this. In Matthew, there are 5 speech sections. That's not to say that he doesn't teach in other places, but all of these have a very similar phrase, with 26:1 saying after he said all these sayings. So it's very much a wrapping up of what he's doing. All throughout the book, Matthew is trying to show you that Jesus is the Son of God. He's also trying to show you that Jesus is the lawgiver. He's like Moses, and there are so many connections to the way Moses lived and how Jesus lives that way as well, fulfills those things by being a kind of Moses. One of those ways is in these 5 speech sections. We also have throughout Matthew 9 different miracle sections or healing sections. And again, this does not include the specific healing of people. These are 9 separate sections of, and this crowd came and brought to him, they're lame, they're deaf, they're blind, where it's just this very general, here's a couple verses of a ton of people came to Jesus looking for healing. There are 9 of those in Matthew. So all throughout Matthew, what is Jesus doing? He's teaching lots of people. He's healing lots of people. And all of this is to show that Jesus is the Son of God. But here's what I want us to see. With the verses that we looked at earlier and all these verses combined, all the ones there in yellow are our times of refueling. So we need to prep for the road ahead. The kingdom is about to kick off here. This ministry is about to get going. In chapter 4, Jesus is going to take this time to fast. And then as we continue to roll forward here, it's prayer, it's solitude, it is fellowship, it's taking time to rest, all throughout his time of ministry, and ending with it as well. This is what I want us to see. There are periods in his life where you have Jesus moving from this thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, but anywhere that he can, it's, I've got to take the time to stop. 2 truths I want us to take from this. Throughout his ministry, Jesus took time to refuel. I don't know what kind of things you personally, each person here is involved in. I assume that you are. I assume that you're working, teaching in benevolence. Maybe you're practicing hospitality. I don't know what specific things that you are doing. I don't want you to miss this. Jesus, throughout his ministry, says, I've got to take time to be alone. I've got to take time to be with God's people. I've got to take a lot of time in prayer. I've got to take a lot of time. That sounds like a tornado warning. You know that, right? Okay. But we're okay. We'll keep going. Whatever is going on, Jesus is going to take this time to go, hey, I need to refuel. If I don't, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. But that's truth number 2. After refueling, Jesus took time for ministry. Anybody going on a trip, you'll fill up the car and then just sit in the parking lot? You don't reach your destination when you do that. It's, we're refueled, but now I'm just sitting here. That's not how it works. And it may be true. I don't know which of these is more true, so I'll hit them both. There may be some of you that are, this thing is done, now I need to do this, now we need to move on to this next thing, and you don't take the time to refuel. You have to, or that ministry, those ministries, you are going to suffer for not. Then you may have some on the other side that are going, well, I'm still prepping, still thinking about it, still taking my time with it, still, okay, at some point, okay, you're fueled up. You got everything you need. Get going. And if you have some car trouble along the way, you can stop and fix it again and have a quick, we need to refuel real fast. We didn't get that far, but you got further than you were before. Jesus refueled with the purpose of, there's work to be done. There's a reason I'm here. There's stuff to do. There's a destination. That's why he's refueling. I want to, and we'll close in the devotional if that's all right. I'll have a handout thing with that here in just a little bit. But I want to say this about destination. The destination is not, and hear me all the way, Destination's not get to heaven. Sometimes we can get in the trouble of, like, I'm a Christian. I just want to get there to heaven. It's going to be great. I'm just holding on, until I get there. Well, that's not right. The way that Paul describes heaven and hell is, I think, the best way for us to think about it. With God, apart from God. Like the phrasing because, and this isn't just Paul, but Paul will say this, John will say this, you'll see this throughout all of the Gospels. The destination is the relationship with God. That's why heaven's good. That's why heaven's as great as it is, because it's relationship with God and there will be no separation. You don't have to worry about it. Sin, death taken care of, sin's consequences taken care of, and it's not coming back in. That's why heaven's great. But you have relationship with God now. And so as we think about this and the refueling, when you stop to refuel, what you are doing is, I need to strengthen the relationship here. Because there are things that I need to do out here to go bring others into relationship with Him. The destination's relationship. And the more that we stop to refuel, the better that we're going to be at going out and reaching that destination ourselves in the refueling and helping others to get to that destination with us. We'll wrap this up here in the devotional. Let's pray together, and then we'll hang out for the devotional. Father, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for this time to think about your Son Jesus, the way that He lived His life in ministry and His example for us, not just in working, but in resting. God, I pray that you help us to not just think about the work that is ahead and the different ministries and things going on and the camps and the VBSs and whatever works we may be involved in. God, help us to know that it's okay to stop, to take a break, to recover, to rebuild the relationship with you, to make sure that we are strong in our relationship with you so that we can better serve others as we go back to our work. Father, we love you very much. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, for His example and for His sacrifice and the life that it brings to us and the mission that it brings to us. And it's in His name we pray. Amen.